Bank says all hands are on deck to ensure the smooth running of the policy in the states and that appeals for postponement might not be entertained. In the meantime, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has left interest rates at 12% for the 12th consecutive time, while cash reserve requirement on public deposits was also left at 50%. Addressing journalists after the committee's meeting in Abuja, the Central Bank Governor Lamido Sanusi said the move will help moderate inflation and the nation's exchange rate.
The Central Bank Governor Sanusi Lamido Sanusi and other members of the Monetary Policy Committee addressing journalists on the decision of the committee after reeling out economic realities in the international and domestic market. Mr. Sanusi announced that the interest rate remains at 12%.
The committee decided by a vote of 11 members to 1 to hold the MPR at 12%. One member voted for a reduction in the MPR by 50 basis points. 11 members voted to retain the symmetric corridor of 200 basis points around the MPR, while one member voted for an asymmetric corridor of 200 basis points above MPR and 400 points below. All members voted to retain the 50% cash reserve requirement on public sector funds and 12% CRR on private sector deposits.
Leaving the monetary policy rate unchanged for the 12th time is not surprising to some financial experts. According to them, the further tightening of the interest rate will reduce inflation.
The exchange rate is not higher than expected. It's been almost stable for a very, very long time. Also because the MPR has been kept steady. And the hot money is also coming from abroad. Because here, we look at 12%. And if you go to parts of Europe, the interest rate is sometimes near zero.
While monetary policy is said to have effect on the prices of goods, assets, exchange rates, as well as consumption and investment, another financial expert advised that the economy be studied over time before the interest rate is reviewed.
You can't just reduce the MPR, because if you do, you have to also consider the pressure on Naira, because it's not just about the domestic economy. You have to also consider the international influence, like the other economies in the world.
This is the 12th time the Monetary Policy Committee will leave the interest rate unchanged at 12%. Although the central bank says its decision at tightening the interest rate has yielded positive results in the past few months, Nigerians will be watching to see if this decision will translate into the nation's socio-economic development.
Time for news from the foreign scene. Let's bring you word of that earthquake in Pakistan. About 250 people have lost their lives in the Balochistan province. The region, which is prone to earthquakes, was hit by a 7.7 magnitude quake on Tuesday afternoon. Many houses were flattened and thousands of people have spent the night in the open. Balochistan government spokesman Jan Buledi said most of the fatalities were in Awarin town and the surrounding villages, and he warned that the death toll could rise.
He also said helicopters have been airlifting the most seriously injured to Karachi, while others are being cared for in neighboring districts. Pakistan's military was amongst the first to respond to the crisis, having a heavy presence in the area already because it is fighting a long-running separatist Baloch insurgency. Sports news now. Nigeria's the Tigers defeated Cape Verde 60 points to 55 to record their second win in Group B at the African Women's Basketball Championship holding in Maputo, Mozambique. Nigeria grabbed a 12 points to 9 lead in the first period and added 21-14 run in the second.
That's correct. Cape Verde, however, dominated the third period and erupted with a 19-7 surge. Nigeria, meanwhile, closed the game with a 20 points to 13 run to seal the victory. The Tigers, Okpea Atosu and Udenze Justina, nailed 7 points apiece. The team will take on Cameroon later tonight.
And that's it on News Track. Thank you for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani.
And I'm Olumide Macaulay. Many thanks for watching.
Sports Palaver is up next.
At first, it's only anticipation that something is about to happen. This is one thing that makes life interesting. To compete not only with players across the field, but across the world. It makes me feel joy when we win and sorrow when we lose. The action and reaction, colliding, falling, dropping, despite the odds. I love it because it brings me tears. Tears of victory, tears of joy. The skill that leads to the pass that leads to the shot that leads to the goal that determines the ultimate. Channel Sports, defining the moment of true sport.
Yes, good afternoon and welcome to Sports Palava live this afternoon. And I tell you this, we have this thing of, what is the government doing? What is the government not doing? What is the management doing? But this time we are looking at the man in the mirror. We are looking at the Nigerian football fan. Sunday the 15th of September, we all were there for the Federation Cup final. And I tell you, it took the intervention of the governor of Lagos State when he said, throw the gates open at halftime for the stadium to be filled. So we ask ourselves, why is it that we could go everywhere, do anything, pay subscriptions, go to cafes, sit down at viewing centers to watch the other leagues? But when it comes to our own football, the final of, in fact, it was a double final. It was a double billing because it was both the male and the female. The Rivers Angel